Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. Welcome to Cantina Social Hour, where we're going to have another Friday night chat. Really excited to come on this evening and talk a little bit of Indiana Jones with some great friends of VC. So thanks to everybody who is popping in here right now. I see your names coming up here. Awesome. Thanks for joining us tonight. Hope everybody is doing well. Paul, how's it going? Paul, great to see you. Thank you for joining us this evening. Jacob, how are you doing? Good to see you. Welcome back. Welcome back. Dodgson, how are you doing? Nope, you haven't missed anything. You are perfectly on time. And to everybody else, thank you for hanging out with us this evening. So, Alex, what is good? What is good, Alex? All right, cool. So, I'm going to bring in my two guests, and we're going to talk some indie this evening. Been a while since we've done one of these. I can't even remember when the last time was. But all right. So first and foremost, we have, I think, on making his debut on Cantina Social for the very first time, we have the one and only Caleb Burnett. Caleb, how's it going?
Hey, what's up? Yeah, it is my first time actually. So
Awesome. We'll go gentle on you, I promise.
thanks for having me.
Yeah. Really glad that you're here, and I love your setup with the Rex light and Han Solo, and yeah, it's great.
Thank you.
Yep. And then joining us again, you saw him last week. Well, he didn't get enough torture at that point, so he's back for some more. The one and only host of the Jurassic Park podcast, Brad Jost. How's it going?
Hey, what's going on? I like to torture myself a lot. So yeah, if you want to hear me talking, I just do it way too much.
Well, that's what we do on this show. We talk. Yeah,
we talk.
Joseph, how's it going? Good to see you, Joseph.
Oh, yeah,
Thanks for joining us. And Mary, how's it going? Good to see you as always, Mary. Awesome. Well, cool, you guys. All right. So how are we doing? I guess we should start off with how's everything going? You guys comfortable? We got a little water to drink. We're good to go.
Yeah, doing good. Got some type of sparkling water I've never heard of. I got Harrison Ford here behind me.
I'm indulging in something pretty special. It's I'm drinking this. Ooh. I just popped this open. It's really good, brand new drink. I hear it's Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, Dr. Pepper. I might die. I might die at the end of this, so we'll see. No, but doing good. And I am just got back from the pool like literally minutes ago, so I smell like salt water right now.
Oh, okay. The pool sounds nice. It's been kind of warm.
Yeah. It was nice. Definitely nice.
I got to go into a pool over the weekend, and it was very delightful.
Yeah, never pass it up.
All right, cool. And I like the pose you have, Brad, on your what is it? Dreadnoughtus behind you, like just the pose.
Yeah,
it's like looking back, like, hey.
Well, first off, it wouldn't fit any other way. Like I had to at least turn the neck a little bit because like it's already up against that wall or that stand, and then I don't know. I just wanted to make it do something a little bit different, and I like its like goofy neck turn.
Yeah, I like it. Very cool. So so our main intent this evening is to talk a little Indiana Jones. We're going to talk, the movies. We're going to talk about the merchandising that is, I guess, primarily for this latest movie. And maybe that's where we start, as we talk about some of the merchandising and some of the stuff that's been out. So for the first time since 2008, Hasbro has released a whole, toy line that, I'm sure many people here and watching have seen or have purchased or have watched videos of. So there's different segments of this line. There's the Adventure series. That's the 6-inch line of figures that has been out for a few months now, and it's not quite done. There's still another, I guess, a couple waves. There's a couple waves that are just hitting, and then there's like a couple more that are still coming in the near future. And then there's also the smaller, what is it called? The micro adventure. I forget the smaller scale that is out there as well. The more kid-oriented, kid-focused segment that is out there with the much smaller figures. And then, of course, the odds and ends I mean, neither of you can tell me you haven't gone to the store and cracked that whip that's on the shelf.
Yep.
Truth.
Yep. One of my favorite ones. I was actually shocked at how cool that was. Like I thought, oh, this is gonna be just some goofy toy, but then I actually started hitting it, and I was sitting there for like 5 minutes, just like going through the loop over and over.
Oh man, I was like, they nailed the sound, and like it's perfect. I was addicted for a second. So
yeah.
Nice. Yeah, so there's a variety of stuff. There's also the retro collection, which is a mix of reissues and brand new sculpts from the old Kenner line. So those are in stores as well. So there's plenty of options. There's even like some 12-inch stuff out there, and even Hot Toys just announced like a brand new figure that they're releasing for the latest film. I assume it comes. It's not even on pre-order yet, but I assume it's going to be out next year sometime. So plenty of options. If you've missed having Indiana Jones toys on the shelf for the last, I don't know how many years has it been now, 12, 13 years, then now's a good opportunity to get in there and take advantage of all the sales and clearances and stuff that have been going on this week. So
yeah, I was just thinking, like, it's been 15 years since Crystal Skull, so like that's sort of the same gap between Jurassic Park 3 and Jurassic World. But I think there were like obviously some Jurassic toys in between there, but I don't think there's been much Indiana Jones, right? So yeah.
Yeah,
no.
it's really, really rough to find any Indiana Jones stuff. At least Jurassic, it's like dinosaurs are evergreen, so you can kind of always find dinosaurs places, or at least some Jurassic stuff. But Indiana Jones, like, just continually disappears. It started disappearing from the parks, Disneyland, Disney World. Like, you can barely find some stuff in there. The Adventure Outpost, like, kind of ceased to exist, I think. Now it's a bar, I think, which is actually kind of nice. But yeah, it's been so difficult to find anything. And I honestly wasn't like a huge collector of the 2008 stuff. So
yeah, that 2008 stuff was an interesting line because and it's funny because the time that line came out, it was like the golden age of like Star Wars collecting. Like the action figures were just incredible, the variety, the vehicles, like everything was out there at such compared to now, like such like budget friendlier prices. And now it's things are just through the roof in price. But that line should have been much better than it was. From what I understand, the initial waves that were released were made by like a different factory, and there was like different like the QC was all over the place. And I did buy some, but I was kind of put off by that first like Crystal Skull wave where everything was just hit and miss. But in subsequent years, I did go back and start buying like some of the vehicles, like the truck with the plastic canopy, and some of the figures. And I have most of the stuff now. I haven't gotten everything yet, but yeah, I mean it's cool in terms of it being a 3 3/4 inch scale action figure line, which is kind of like the classic like original scale, but for action figures. But yeah, it was just such a weird like line, like just with the QC being all over the place. But it's fun for it being Indiana Jones and for it being like all the characters they did produce. It's still a cool line to go back and like pick up every now and then.
Yeah, looking back through it, it looks pretty great. Like, I feel like this is a great looking line, but I just remember anytime I ever picked one up, I was like, what? This looks horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Caleb, did you get any of the 2008 stuff?
I was gonna say I don't have any Indiana Jones, and I'm trying to curb my collecting a little bit. And walking down the aisle at Target the other day, it was like Jurassic was on this side and Indy was on the other. And I was just being bombarded because the new Indy stuff looks really great. I mean, at least to me. And so, but yeah, it would be my first Indy stuff if I was to get anything of the new stuff. So, yeah.
You know what I found was interesting tonight? I had to make a quick stop in Target before coming home, and we had to get like a little tooth pillow for my son because he lost some tooth. So he lost 2 front teeth today. And while we were running in there, he's like, "Oh, I didn't know if you wanted to look at the Jurassic toys. Do you want to look at the dinosaur toys?" And I was like, "No." I might actually look at the indie toys though. I might stop and see what they got for indie. So that for me was like a first like real like change like of going to Target and not caring. I didn't even care to look at the Jurassic toys. I only wanted to see what indie stuff was there. So that was like I thought that was weird tonight. That was the first time I think that ever happened for me.
In my Target, the indie stuff was nice and straight and organized, and the Jurassic stuff was just there was just so much. It was just piled up everywhere. So it was like a stark contrast. The indie looks great. So yeah.
Yeah, there's plenty out there right now. So I guess we'll go ahead and show a few of the options that are out there. So this first one, I'm going to pull the wrong screen this time. We're talking a little bit about the Adventure series. So this is the main 6-inch scale line that Hasbro's been doing. Of course, 6 inch is kind of the industry standard scale. So that's what they decided to do this time instead of 3 3/4 inch.
I'm so happy.
Yeah, and it's very much focused on Indiana Jones stuff, right? So there's like so many different versions of Indy you can purchase. Thankfully, there are other characters as well. And some of them are really cool to see, like Marcus Brody and, Belloc and Short Round. Like some of these are really great options. Like I'm really happy that they did some of these. I have been picking them up. And yeah, it's pretty neat. It's pretty neat stuff. And I don't know what you guys think, but from the ones that I have, like the QC on these has been pretty consistent for the most part. And like the figures have really good display ability. Like you just put them on a shelf and they look quite great together.
Yeah, totally agree. I've got I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them right there. I still haven't opened 2 of them here, but I think they look fantastic. Like they really do. I had 1 or 2 issues. The head on Tote doesn't, like, because there's like 2 heads. You can have like the standard one and then the face melting head, and that one, like, it doesn't easily fit on top. So it's just right now it's just sitting on there. So that's not a big deal. I just got to heat it up, I guess. But the other one was like one of Indy's hands doesn't fit on there, and it just kept popping off. So I actually, luckily, the other figures came with a hand that I just interchanged it with. I think it was Tote's hand, to be honest, but you can't tell.
Y'all are I agree, they look great. Y'all are selling me on going back to Target and getting some of these. So yeah.
And there's so many too. Like I can't believe how many they've done. Like I remember when they announced the first wave, I was like nervous that this would never actually happen. Like, because I'm a big fan of 6-inch and stuff like that. I really like those that size, and I feel like Jurassic did that for a little bit, and then they just canned it. Right, it was like gone. But I was afraid that they would just not care about Indiana Jones. I feel like Disney has not really done enough with this property that I thought like, they'll probably release this, it probably won't sell, and then they'll just shut it down right away. But the fact that we've gotten as much as we have, or they've showed off so much already, I'm very excited about that. And even if this is it, I heard rumors that this could be the end of it, what we see. But that's, I mean, I'm kind of okay with it. If that was to be it, I'd be like, okay, that was a pretty good run.
Yeah. I don't know what sales have been like. I know that like at Target, some of the stuff, not at mine, but like I've seen on Instagram, like people have been posting like their Targets are putting a lot of these on clearance. Which means it's a good time if you haven't bought them to go back and get them. But same time, I mean, the film just came out last week, so it's kind of a little bit unfortunate that, it doesn't have more legs as like a toy line, to continue past like, where it is. And I think they kind of sort of knew that going into it because, they have the market data from the history of their 2008 toy line and how that went. And I think it's informed a lot of the decisions they've made were to make this adventure series more Indiana Jones focused, not so much a lot of the other characters. So they've kind of really like emphasized, Indy in different outfits. So, plenty of options. And yeah, unfortunately, I don't think the line's going to go to, I don't even know if it's on clearance now. It's hard to say that it's even going to be around like by the holidays, but I wish it had more life left in it. But yeah, I would just tell people if you're interested in this line, get while you can, because once the line's gone, it's probably going to be gone. I don't think they're going to bring it back for a while.
Yeah, that does worry me. I want to get these ones as soon as I can, but even with Target's pre-order system, it's just like it's still kind of like a huge mess. I thought we were like out of the woods with Jurassic, but that seems to be still kind of doing some weird stuff. But I even had the problem with Indiana Jones. Like I got the Club Obi-Wan Indy in stores, and then I like just so happened to notice, I looked through my account on Target.com and I was like, oh, I pre-ordered this one. I didn't even realize, I forgot. So that one never shipped, even though it was in stores. So you just got to pick this stuff up where you can, when you can, because you never know, I guess, if it's going to come back. And it is kind of all over the place where you can get it and stuff. So but yeah, I love this. I mean, it would be cool if there was a handful more, like Mola Ram, a few more characters from the new movie would be cool. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's fairly good. Like the fact that we got like character like Kazim, from Last Crusade, like that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Target, but yeah, that's kind of been the case for mine too, because I did order the Club Obi-Wan and I still haven't received it. I've seen it in the store before, but I'm just like, what do I do? Kill the pre-order? I don't know. I don't even know anymore. There's so many pre-orders, like not just Target, but just like all over the place, that it's like it's hard to keep track of them all. And Target's especially challenging because they do the authorization on your card like every like 2 weeks or week or whatever it is, and it's like, like my husband's like, oh, you bought another thing. I'm like, no, it's the same thing. They don't pre-order for months, and they're just, paying the card, I guess. I don't know why Target does it. Nobody else does that.
Yeah.
Oh, Target.
What are we going to do with you, Target? All right. So the next line is the World of Adventure line, and that's these little guys right here, Worlds of Adventure.
Yeah.
Very similar to what Star Wars is doing with the Mission Fleet line. So basically, it's just like a little itty bitty, like, I don't know, 2-inch figure or so, 2.5-inch figure, and then you get some other stuff in there too, like here's Indy with the horse, which is kind of neat.
That might be worth it just to get the Grail. Like that's a pretty good looking Grail, and it looks like a good size too.
Yeah, it does. I wonder if it fits in his little satchel there. Yeah, no, that is kind of cool. Yeah. It's got a snake.
If you need a horse for your Owen figure, buy that.
I know. Yeah, so no, these are neat. I mean, they're obviously more kid oriented, kid focused. So they have, the little vehicles, the little launching mechanisms, the little playability aspects that you don't see.
This one's great because it reminds me of like Alan Grant from like the 90s. It comes with like net launchers and random stuff. Like the motorcycle with net launcher scene in Dial of Destiny was my favorite part, right, guys? Wasn't that the best part?
Spoilers, Brad. Spoilers.
Yeah. Yeah, like this one. Like you know, just stuff that wasn't in the movie, like the way he's got the gun up there on top.
Yeah. That's great.
He could have shot down the second plane. Yeah, I mean it's just, you know, it's just like kid fun stuff, you know, it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
well, it's weird. It's kind of weird though, because I mean, I honestly don't think Indiana Jones is necessarily like a kid-centric property. I you know, I have to be a little bit older, but I feel like this is out of that demographic by the time you're like into watching Indiana Jones. Like right now, I've been like debating, like, do I want to show this to my kid? But like, I don't know, it's like super violent. There's people getting shot right in the forehead and faces melting, and it's a pretty gruesome and hearts ripping out of chests. Like it's pretty gruesome when you think about it. So
I know.
I don't know. I've been like debating it, and these toys are like right up his alley, but you know, he doesn't know what he's playing with.
We watched Raiders of the Lost Ark in a film music class that I took once, and it took a little bit to get that approved by the university because of the ending. So yeah.
Oh wow,
that's awesome.
Yeah, so I mean these are fun, and you know I've seen these in stores, and you know I assume people are buying them because like when I go, they don't have like a ton of them. They did a few months ago. They had more, but there's not like a bunch of them on the shelf.
Yeah.
Like this one's kind of cool with the boulder, and
the accessories on that one are great too.
Yeah. Which wasn't that like in the trailers? Like there was like a scene with a boulder, but I don't think it was in the movie.
For the new one,
it's in the opening. There was. It's in the opening.
Well, no, there was this a shot with Helena and Indy with a boulder, and yeah, that was. I don't think. That was
yeah.
Strange. Yeah, it's quite a backpack he's got. Like, I don't know, is it a torture rack or is it a backpack?
He's going camping.
He's going
with
camping.
Jock.
Camping.
Yeah, he's going camping. Yeah, this is neat too. The motorcycle and sidecar.
Henry Jones Sr. would have rocked that rocket. He would have like blown up some Nazis.
I know.
Very pointy umbrella.
I'd pay to see that. That is a very pointy umbrella, but it doubles
it's probably the checkpoint stick that he used for jousting.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, these, I think we're back to the beginning. These are fun. And then I saw mention here, I guess somebody mentioned it, that there's a couple other offerings. I did note that we have the retro collection, so that is the other line. Are either of you guys purchasing any of the retro figures?
No, that's never my jam. I'm never really into those ones. They're okay, but not really my stuff.
I'm kind of in the same boat. Not super into those. More into the other ones for sure.
Yeah, I mean they're neat in the sense of them being like retro reissues, and in some cases like additions to the line. But I do have the first wave, but I didn't open any of them. I just left them like on the vintage like card. I don't think I'm gonna buy them to open or anything, but they're cool to have. I don't have them on display or anything, but you know, just like I was saying, like, you know, once the stuff's gone, it's gone, and there's not going to be indie stuff until who knows when. So
yeah,
never again.
Yeah, quite possibly.
I mean,
go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, it's like all the retro toys across the board that we're getting at the moment from all sorts of properties is very cool that it's even happening. So
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're fun to look at least. Like I love going into that back section of Target where the Funko Pops are, and then there's always stuff like this, usually way overpriced. These are not nearly as much. Usually I feel like they're like $17.99 or so. So these are more reasonable, but I would, you know, if these were on clearance, like I know some of them are now, but if they hit a decent price, I would probably pick up a few of them, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, they're you know, they're cool. They're cool for what they are, but you know, definitely not for everybody. And then this is the one that somebody commented on here in the stream. So Mesco, which does 6-inch figures,
Ooh,
but
yeah.
but they're not, they're expensive 6-inch figures. They're doing a Raiders of the Lost Ark indie. And this one is on pre-order. So, I mean, Mesco, I have a couple other things, and, they look great, but oftentimes there's like little like things that don't quite work. Like they can't interact with an accessory, or, just like changing like heads is kind of awkward. But this is a pretty neat option as well. So it's like a soft goods, soft jacket, shirt, pants, figure. And I'd say it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it does look pretty great. I mean, it's very tempting. Very tempting. Does it come with the base too, like the stand and all the stuff for his back? Does it come
Yeah,
with
they
that stuff?
usually do. When it comes to Mesco, they usually include like the base. They include like a little plastic bag for their accessories.
Well, this one looks like it. I mean, they're at least showing off like the idol stand and all that stuff.
Yeah.
In some of the pictures.
Yeah, so it's got a figure stand. It's got a few heads, a bunch of hands. Yeah, it's not bad. I don't know if the likeness is spot on, but
it's hard to get right. His is very tough.
He is. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, if you weren't buying the Adventure series, you just want one great Indiana Jones figure, well, here's an option for you too.
Yeah.
Might very well consider that.
Yeah, so it's nice. $130. They require a deposit. The time frame though is when it comes to this company is I don't know if I would trust this. It says June 2024. But then I think about the Michael Keaton Batman that I ordered in 2020, didn't get it till 2023. So
wow,
man.
Yeah. So it's tough. It is tough. You never know what's going to happen when it comes to Mesco. All right, so let me go ahead and close out of this one. And all right, so last one I want to show, I mentioned earlier, is the Hot Toys figure. So this is like the grail, I guess we could say, of the indie figures and merchandising for this year. This is based on the Dial of Destiny, and it's a really nice looking figure. Like I feel like on this one they did really like dial into the likeness, and he's got all the quality clothes that Hot Toys always come with. Plenty of accessories. It hasn't gone up for pre-order yet, I don't think, but I'm really, 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 really tempted here on this one.
Yeah, this one looks great. I want to get like a younger indie, like a Hot Toys like style figure, but I can't deny this one. It's got so many cool features. It looks just like them, and I love that it comes with the tie. Like you can get the tie, outfit. That's my favorite indie, is when he's wearing his Last Crusade tie. So that's what tempts me the most, I think, out of this figure.
I agree. I think it looks great. I'm not really can't really say that I'm in the market for this kind of indie, but it looks fantastic. They nailed that for sure.
Yeah, it comes with the dial too. So like I feel like I'm surprised that really hasn't been in anything really. Like they haven't really been releasing toys with that. So that'll be cool to at least, be able to get a figure that has that in the hand,
Yeah. I think they did a Raiders one like years ago, but it didn't look anything like, the likeness was nowhere near.
Yeah.
It wasn't perfect at all. But maybe if this does well, that'll be an opportunity for them to revisit that figure or one of the previous films versions.
I have this Sideshow Crystal Skull with the fridge, and I love it so much. It's one of my prized possessions here in my collection. So
nice.
Yeah, I love that movie more than most people. So it's a good one for me.
Are we doing indie rankings on the stream tonight?
For movies?
Yeah.
Yeah, we could do a ranking. Why not?
Yeah,
we could do that. We'll save that for the finale.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of cool merchandise out there, and again, now's the time. purchase it. Don't miss out. Once it's gone, it's gone. You have to go to eBay, and that oftentimes isn't fun when you talk about like markups and stuff like that. So
yeah,
if you're interested in any of this stuff, get it now. And it's also better to buy it now because you're giving them more reason to make more stuff, basically. So support the line, and they'll keep making stuff. But we'll see.
That would be nice. That would be nice. Just like keep going with the thing. I think it's kind of like dinosaurs. I feel like it's an evergreen property, but I don't know. I mean, maybe people aren't just buying. Maybe the crowd is not like a merch buying crowd, but I love this stuff. I'll take it.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So before we talk about the movies, I just want to see who else has been joining us in this last little while here. Ralph, how's it going? Thanks for joining us this evening. Alex agrees with you, Brad, that it would be nice to get some more characters in adventure series.
Yeah, Willie would be good. Molaram, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
I got a Funko Pop. I found Indy. They've got a handful of them at Target right now. Old Indy, I think there was like the kid, whatever his name was, and Voller was there too.
That's something I think I'm tempted the most to buy of Indy is the Funkos. I love the Boulder Escape from the Temple Funko that they've done. That one's great.
Yeah. This is also pretty awesome. I was lucky enough to get this for Father's Day.
Oh,
that's cool.
Nice.
Yeah, the big Lego set. It's got so many moving pieces. I love it so much. It's massive. It's got like 4 knobs and tons of it's got lights on it and stuff. Like it actually lights up. It's really cool.
Now we got D Dixon in here. How's it going?
Oh, Daryl Dixon.
I know. I was just thinking I was going to say that. Maybe. Dave, how's it going? Thanks for joining us this evening, Dave.
What's up, Dave?
Very cool. All right, so let's talk about the movie. Dun dun dun. All right, so
are we doing spoilers or?
Yeah. I was just gonna say that you haven't seen the film yet. Probably don't want to get it spoiled, so you can always come back to this stream later on. But yeah. So, well, where should we start? So, do we want to get some first impressions, just kind of a general overall, thoughts? And
Brad, you want to go first or me?
You go first. I want to hear your thoughts.
My first impression was that I loved it. I like Crystal Skull was the first indie I saw in a theater because I'm a youngling, and I saw it with my dad, and I got to see this one with my dad in a theater. And so it's just kind of that's a special thing. And Dial really felt like classic indie to me, more than Crystal Skull. And Crystal Skull is a film that I love, but Dial of Destiny really, to me, brought back classic indie. When it was announced that James Mangold was going to direct, I was like, yes, absolutely yes. And I just knew he was going to do a good job, and I really think he did. You said we were doing spoilers. So here's what I'll say for now. We can continue later, but it had the mind-blowing climax of an indie film. It had everything you want from an indie film, and I really enjoyed it. Something for me particularly was that I thought the score was fantastic. Maybe cross your fingers or whatever, but might be John Williams' last score ever. And so I think he went out with a real classic, a real bang. Helena's theme is an all-timer. It's really great. So yeah, overall, I really loved it. That's my first impression. So
nice.
Yeah. Caleb, you're making me emotional here with that John Williams talk, thinking about it potentially being his last one. That's I mean, that's amazing. Because I thought the score was beautiful. It was really, really different. And this was a movie I think about Indy trying to find his footing again, and trying to live in a world that he doesn't belong in anymore. Like he's kind of like an outcast at this point. The world doesn't need people like him. This is very much just like Jurassic Park, when you actually think about it. This is the same story as Alan Grant when he's digging in the dirt, finding the dinosaur bones. He's doing some old school research, and then he finds out that the science has changed and they might not need him anymore. And that's pretty much what Indy's going through in this movie, right? It's like the science has changed and they're going to space now, and they don't need some old guy looking for relics in the dirt. And I thought it was beautiful how the score like really was kind of finding its way and didn't necessarily give us this full huge Indiana Jones like fanfare throughout the whole thing. And it was really just beautiful and sweeping, and I thought that was awesome. But yeah, I love the movie overall. I thought it was awesome. I cried a handful of times. First time, second time, even harder. And yeah, I love it, and I think it's like a really great Indiana Jones movie, and I like seeing Indiana Jones age, and I like seeing all these other characters come into play, and it was a great finale, I think.
John Williams said that The Fabelmans was going to be his last score, which apparently was a lie. So, Steven Spielberg came calling again. And he did it. So who knows? Maybe it won't.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I could definitely see him still going, but like especially not going out on like a Steven movie kind of feels weird.
That's a valid point.
Because like you mentioned when Mangold was brought up in the Indy conversation, I was like apprehensive at first. I know he's done great work and I really liked his work, but I was like, man, this is Steven's and George's property. Like, let's keep that thing going. But then again, like I know like the last one wasn't accepted as well, for a lot of people. So, I was like, oh, maybe they'll get away from that and try to do something more akin to what Indy, maybe usually is or whatever. But man, did he really kill it. I loved everything about this. What'd you think, Victoria?
Yeah, I mean, you both raised really good points, and I would certainly agree. I really enjoyed it. I kind of tried to go in like lately with movies, I've been trying to go in just minimal expectations. I just kind of want to have an entertaining experience that feels good. And I kind of felt like I had that here. I felt like the movie hit all the right beats for me. It did feel like Caleb was saying, like classic Indiana Jones. Just kind of going on like that quest, for that relic, and of course having to deal with many obstacles to get to it, and all that, and the climax, definitely it had all the right pieces that made it feel like an Indiana Jones film, plus the addition of all the character stuff that you were talking about, Brad. I saw some people online like comparing to like Han Solo, like their trajectories changed a lot, which I didn't really like the Han Solo one, but for Indy it felt like more like natural, I guess, like when you consider the history of Earth, like our world, like over the last 50 years, and the world in which this takes place, the time in which it takes place, like it felt like a natural like progression of his character, plus all the things that had happened in his life, like between the last film and this film. So just having that mix of it being like him having to go on a typical like classic adventure, having to do all these things, especially at his age, but then all the personal like baggage and stuff that came with it, like I felt like that led for a really like credible story that was quite meaningful. The score I loved. I thought it was like, when you're watching a movie and there's just like little like nuances that John Williams like includes into just little moments, like it's not even like a full-on like theme or anything, it's just you hear little things, and it's very John Williams, and that was very apparent in this film. I got to see him at the Hollywood Bowl last year, last summer, and he performed Helena's theme, like with the LA Symphony.
Yeah.
And he said something like, "Well, they don't know I'm going to do this, but I want you guys to hear this for the first time." And I was like, "Wow, that's a good score." Like I really liked the way, like it was just great. Like the music was awesome. So I was really looking forward to seeing how it fit into the film. But then also like him, interweaving like, more of like Marion's theme in there and everything like that. It just really worked. Like the whole movie was really well done. It had all the right emotional beats. It had, his character's journey, and it had all the other classic indie elements. I was really happy with it. I thought it was quite great.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot of people say that like everybody's sick and tired of like Disney or Lucasfilm or anybody like just giving you back your heroes and making them battered and bruised and like not, in a great place, not having their happy ending, just being miserable and sad and old in their age. And I'm just like, yeah, but that's just real life, like that's just what happens with a lot of people and in the world. And it's like it kind of feels natural, and especially when you sit back and you think about the circumstances, it makes sense. Like, and it's not out of left field. It doesn't feel like some weird character pivot or anything like that. It feels like some real stuff happened to these characters and they dealt with it the best they could. And it was beautiful. Really, like there's a moment on the boat, where Indy's talking to Helena, and it's just like heartbreaking to watch them have that conversation.
No, I agree. And what I was going to say was, I think the entire story, like the plot of the film, really mirrors the real world, like you were just talking about. Like it's realistic because it's sort of a society that's lost its appreciation for history and art, and an opportunity to sort of bring that back. But also, like before I saw Dial, someone, I mean, it's a very minor spoiler, but someone told me that Indy's divorced in Dial. And I was like, oh, but my response was like, okay, I mean, that's the real world. That's how it goes sometimes. And like you were just saying, though, the conversation that he has with Helena on the boat about why that he is divorced is like, it made great sense, and it gave such depth to it. And that was one of the moments that I definitely shed a tear, because it was like, man, I feel for Indiana for sure. So
no, I love that stuff, like in a movie like this, like an Earthbound like story. I didn't love it a whole lot in Star Wars, but like in something like this, where takes place in our world, right? It just, seeing a little bit of that struggle, it does mirror reality. So it was I think it was a smart inclusion. You don't want to see him just like be the exact same character from like the last film or the film before that. Like, where's the growth? It's been since, what the last one took place in the 50s sometime. And so that's, I don't know, 15 years ago. So, I mean, there had to have been stuff that happened between then and, at this point.
Yeah.
One of my favorite moments, small moments of the entire movie, was when he's getting pulled through the protest in New York and he starts chanting with them. And I was like, hell yes, Indiana Jones. Yes, you would start chanting with them. It was great.
So. Yeah. That was awesome. I like kind of the, I guess it started with Last Crusade, when he bumps into Hitler, right? He's like interacting with these like real world events and things and people. And then that continued on very much so in the Young Indiana Jones series. Basically every episode was him interacting with some famous person. And this one, again, they have that, real ticker tape parade, New York City. You've got the astronauts there. I love that they center it around like realistic things. Like that's pretty cool. Real people. You see the astronauts in one of the cars, and That's pretty cool. I like that. And everything about, I mean, even the fact that like, the US is using these German scientists for, their excellence. And it's just like, it's like a world that Indy does not know how to deal with. He's like, wait, we're supposed to trust these German scientists? I wanted to punch them all in the face, and like now it's like a whole different world and he doesn't know how to adapt to it. And I love him finding his confidence through this story, Seems
I
back.
was wondering how they were going to bring Mads Mikkelsen's character back after the intro, and it was like, oh, okay, we're going into Project Paperclip here, and the U.S. working with Nazis to get to the moon, and I mean, it was like, I totally agree with you about like it's, I mean, historically accurate, but like historically accurate. So
yeah. Oh, it's so good. I got to see it again.
I've only seen it once, so I definitely want to see it again.
Well, now I'm interested because like apparently I think a Sunday they're giving out like a patch if you go see it in like Dolby or something. Some of the AMC theaters are giving out like a Dial of Destiny patch, so I'm like real tempted to go back or at least buy a ticket and just like go get my patch and leave,
The patch, that's marketing to the right audience right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. One thing I noticed that I don't know if you guys noticed it because it was just super quick. Did you guys see the little picture of Mutt like at the beginning, like it was like on the wall?
Yeah, he had like his, I guess, military outfit on.
Yeah.
And, I thought that was really cool. There was a handful of pictures there. One of the details I really liked was, and this is we're going to go, I think, deep into spoilers, but like, at what point was it? He's looking at the fridge after he sees the divorce letter and like he puts that magnet over Marion's face.
Yeah.
And I didn't notice it the first time, but the second time when Marion shows up at the end of this movie, he subtly, like she opens the fridge and he subtly grabs that magnet off and just like takes it away. And it was like such a nice little thing that like they didn't forget about that little thing, like that little detail, stuff like that. I think makes movies feel real, that he was like, oh, I gotta move this thing. I don't want her to see it.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say, like, because we were talking about sort of how they handled Marion and Mutt, like you have the option of bringing them right back immediately and having them fully in the story and everything, which I guess you could have done, but like I love what they decided to do instead because it made more emotional sense. It made more story sense, and like the payoff, though momentary, was great. I loved, and major spoiler territory here, but I loved the mirroring of the scene from Raiders when he says, "Where does it hurt?" and she says, "Oh, here."
Oh, God,
and
dude.
Just moving up, like, immediately I was like, oh my gosh, yeah. So
yeah,
perfect.
I absolutely was crying hard at that moment because it's just like this is the perfect like just battered down, like really hurt these two people, and they are finding their little ways to get through it. And I thought that was pretty beautiful. It's not perfect, but they're making it their own. And I thought it was just beautiful.
I the only marketing promotional stuff I watched was the first trailer. I tried to go in pretty blind. So like I had no idea that they were even bringing her back. So at the end, I was like, oh my gosh, it was
See, great. I knew, unfortunately, that's one thing I knew going in because like one of the events they had carted her out there. I think it was the premiere. Like she was there.
Yeah.
And then apparently she showed up on posters and I was like, oh, she's on a poster? Of course she's in this movie. Like, damn.
Yeah, the social media has ruined that for me because I saw that before I saw the movie. But yeah, I don't remember which one, but they posted like a picture and I was like, come on, guys.
Did y'all see the pictures from the premiere they posted of all the cast, and they said these belong in a museum? It's like, why did you caption it that? of aged Harrison Ford.
Oh, that yeah. Let's talk about that, because like, what did you think of the actual time travel element of this? I guess I mean, even Mangold had said though that it's not like a time travel sequence, but like I don't know why you wouldn't call it that. But like, what'd you think of that?
It's a temporal anomaly.
Yeah, come on. It's
ripple,
they time traveled.
Ripple in the time-space continuum. I love sci-fi. I'm a huge sucker for time travel. Like any time travel TV show, movie, I will watch. So like when you throw that into my Indiana Jones, I'm all for it.
Yes.
And I thought it was awesome. I like when they were about to go through the rift, I was seriously like, what the heck is about to happen? Like, I had no idea.
Yes.
And then I saw, like, they did a good job. Like, right when they get through it, they did a good job of, like, masking it for a second and, like, making it look sort of like semi-modern warfare. So it was like, okay, they're in the 40s. Okay. And then I saw, like, the sails on the ships. And I was like, oh shit! Like they missed it by a little while, didn't they?
Yeah.
And like honestly, with the time travel thing, like for a second, I also thought, like, what if they go forward? Like, what if they go into the future? Like, what if that happens? Like,
oh wow,
that was my whole thought, honestly. But I loved how they handled it when they got there, and like the Romans and Italians thinking they were dragons, and like I really thought that Indy was gonna stay for quite a while. I was like, what? Makes sense, he'll just stay. We're closing the story, like he's gonna stay, but I don't know. So
yeah, there's been a lot of time travel too, right? Like in Infinity War, and then or Endgame, and then yeah, and the Flash. Like there's been a lot of that lately. So yeah, I like it too. I tend to like it because I always think about time travel, just like all the time. I'm just thinking about like how can it be possible? Like how do I make something that will take me through time? But so I thought it was kind of cool. And I mean, it kind of made sense because they've touched on, especially like the last like movie, the interdimensional aliens and just different things. So kind of like time travel kind of, to me, it made sense. And I thought the whole time too that this dial is going to be to go like into the future, or to go like like you could like set it to where you wanted to go and like and use it that way. I never realized that like until the end, like that how it actually was going to end up working. So I thought that was kind of a cool twist on it.
Yeah, I enjoyed that they made it about science and math, but they didn't like totally go into the specifics of like how it worked like in depth necessarily, but like they made it about science and math rather than like this is some technology sci-fi thing. But
yeah, that's the kind of stuff that I love about like movies from the 80s, 90s, 70s, whatever. Like they didn't have to explain that kind of thing. Nowadays, all we want is to know how everything works. So it's like kind of annoying because we just ask those questions a lot. But like when you look back on old movies, like the Ghostbusters, like they didn't explain how their proton packs work. They just sat in front of ghosts and just blasted them, and we were like, yeah, I get it. So like I thought about it after this movie though. I was like, yeah, I don't really get it. Like they put in coordinates, I guess, but they didn't work, or they did. I don't really know how it all worked, but like I don't care. They ended up in a really cool place.
Yeah.
And like you, Caleb, I was very afraid that he was gonna stay. There were so many moments where like I'm like, oh no, he is staying. And I was like, if the movie had ended like that, I think I would have been upset or mad or something. I don't think I would have been happy.
Yeah, I personally like I would have been okay with it. Like I don't know. I was kind of like 50-50 because it was like he's he loves history, he loves archaeology, he loves all of that, and he's been studying this. But like, also Helena was like, you're gonna alter history, you can't stay, which is the actual sensible point of view. So
yeah. I guess, you know, it's interesting. Like Archimedes had never intended for this to be like a time travel device, but it was just like a device to point people back to that time, that location, for help, because like soon after this he's gonna die, and you know it's not gonna end well for him. So he needs help. So I get that, and I could see Indy staying there, and sure, I think it would have made sense for him because, you know, he's been looking in the dirt his entire life and trying to figure it all out, and that makes sense to like live in it for a bit, even though he was probably going to die real quick with his gunshot wound. He really wouldn't have done much, but I think it ended, like that scene ended in such an Indiana Jones way by just having Helena just punch him in the face like, this is not happening, boom, or whatever she said, and that beautiful. That was so beautiful. I love that moment.
Well, and the Indy was facing the prospect, like I mean, not from personal experience, but like I sympathized with Indy just from the standpoint of like he's facing the prospect of going back to a world that doesn't want him, doesn't appreciate his knowledge and what he does, and so it's like staying in a place where people would. But also, I liked, because the filmmakers could have gone either way probably, and so I liked the choice that they made. But
really glad they took a swing and went to the past and actually did that, and like that is bold, and I hope it seems like a lot of people dig it. Like I think that's awesome, and that's cool.
I thought the reveal of the time period they ended up in was amazing. I thought the way they revealed it was great. So
I mean, it would have been cool if they went to 1939 as well. And like had that, like that would have been awesome too. But the fact that they went to a place where Indy would want to go and stay, like that was awesome too. And you had said it before, like time travel. If there's time travel in a movie, I love it. If there's treasure in a movie, I love it. This has two of those things. I love the movie.
We're all Back to the Future fans here. So
yes, very much so.
So Jurassic Dave said something, and I thought for a moment this is where the movie was going to go.
But, I know. I mean that's the heartbreaking moment, right? Is like when she asks him, "What would you do if you could travel back in time?" And like she had brought up, like, "What would you do? Would you go like see like this or that, or like see some cool things?" And he's like, "No, I'd go save my son. I'd stop him from enlisting." You know, and you're like, "Holy shit!" Like that's like that. Oh my god! Like I feel for him. Like I embodied Indiana Jones in that moment, and I'm like, wow, like this is heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, what else do you guys want to touch on?
The other thing I was going to say about the score is that I loved, like, other indie scores don't really have as much piano as this one had, I feel like. And John Williams used piano for the dial. He sort of did that very, I don't know, ticky is not a word, but very methodical, very like rigid piano for the dial, and it signified it really well, because all these indie films, like these artifacts, these mystical items, they always have these very haunting musical themes that go with them, and I'm glad that we had that with the dial. So
there was a moment in the beginning, I don't remember which specific moment, but I think it was while watching the film. I don't know if I hear it like while maybe I do while listening to the score, but there's a moment where it almost feels like it's about to call back to Crystal Skull, because like there's a very ominous, haunting, piece of music under that. And I was like, oh, they didn't go there, because like I'm always afraid these days that John Williams is just going to repeat himself a little too much. So, and he did that in this
Oh,
movie
sure.
by,
Yeah.
he actually like reused part of Last Crusade. There's like music taken straight from there, but it like makes sense because he's dealing with Nazis and it's in the 1944, which we didn't even talk about, the de-aging section of the movie.
Yeah.
So
No,
yeah.
I would say like I noticed bits and pieces that it at the very least reminded me of like every other indie film musically. And it's either some music editing wizardry, like just to fill in some gaps. I mean, because it's almost 2 hours and 40-minute long movie. Like that's a lot of music. You got to fill in some gaps. So like I definitely like heard some bits and pieces and transitions and stuff that were from other films, but like it's Indiana Jones, so it worked perfectly. So
I need a longer score because it's very much a John Williams score where it's just like presented nicely, like John
give us
usually
the
does.
extended versions album.
There's so much more music, and I
Yes.
need it all. Yeah.
But the opening de-aging thing.
Yeah. But go ahead. What are you gonna say about it?
Oh, I was gonna say that it blew my mind a little. I thought it looked really great. There were a couple of like tiny split-second moments where it caught my eye, and I was like, oh. But like 98% of it, I was like, wow, this is impressive. So, what did you guys think?
Yeah, no, I thought it looked good. The same thing. There were moments where I looked at it and it kind of, I was reminded that, hey, it's it's de-aging. It didn't look 100%, but for the most part, it worked. They've definitely gotten a lot better than they were a few years ago. Yeah, it was convincing. I thought it looked, quite good. But I mean, it's hard to make that disconnect when an actor's this age and then they're this age, they look this age in the movie, so it's hard to like totally like, for suspension of disbelief, but I think it worked pretty well.
Yeah, I was so distracted by it in the beginning, like it's so long. It's a very long sequence.
Yeah.
And I was just so distracted by it, and it made me focus on it probably more than I should have, right? So I just couldn't help but know and see the seams every now and then, like you're saying, Caleb. Like there was like little moments where like I could see something weird. So to me, it kind of took me out of it for a bit. But the second time I saw it, I was able to like blend in a little bit better and like accept it a little bit more. I think as time goes on, I'll be easier on that sequence. But it's like that character, or not character, but that human, Harrison Ford in that time period is so iconic. And I've watched these movies so many times in my life, probably maybe more than most other movies. And there were moments where I was like, well, that's certainly 78-year-old Harrison Ford, his body. And I'm like, that's not what 1944 Indiana Jones would have looked like. Like that's not Indiana Jones's body type for that time period. So like in my mind, I was like, it's a little off. Something's a little weird there. But it looked beautiful. Like there's moments where it's like indistinguishable. Like it's just so good. But it didn't work 100% for me in the beginning.
How did you? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, how did you feel about the other de-aging sequence that was sort of in the middle of the film?
That's where I was going next. I thought you were going to say that because I thought that was way better. Like I thought that looked great, like fantastic. But that's set after Crystal Skull, and I'm not sure that that's how he would have looked after Crystal Skull.
That's a good point. I didn't even think about that.
Because like Crystal Skull is, well, I mean, I guess it's after Crystal Skull. I don't. I'm thinking of it in real time where it took 15 years for us to get this movie, right? I don't know if it was 15 years. I'd have to sit down and look at the timeline. But, when they had said 12 years ago, I went and stole back the thing. So 12 years ago would have been 3 years after Crystal Skull. So that's what I'm thinking. He doesn't look like the Indy from Crystal Skulls, so I don't know. But I'll have to really look at the timeline, I guess, to actually figure that out.
I was not expecting like an extra de-aging thing, because like everybody was hyping up the intro, and it's the intro, and then there's that other scene. But I thought that scene worked really well. But
yeah, I feel like that scene took place before Crystal Skull, but I could be wrong. I don't think they really said what year it was, but I think like in my mind while seeing the movie, I thought it was before. But
well, yeah, I mean, I guess if it was, look, I'm no Ian Malcolm here. I'm no mathematician. Let's see. So it was 1969, and they said it was 12 years ago. So that's 1957. We could look this up very quickly. So let's see, what year did Crystal Skull year? I think it was probably 1957 or so. 1957. So it's apparently the same year. I don't know how realistic that is, but I'm excited for the chance to bring this movie home and to analyze stuff like that as I do. Because I'm psychotic a little bit, but
listen, escaping a nuclear blast in a fridge and discovering interdimensional aliens really does a number on your face.
Well, also drinking of the blood of Christ or whatever, from the cup, like that certainly, and Kali, he mentioned it in this movie, the drinking the blood of Kali, and so and being jabbed with voodoo or whatever he said, like, so yeah, who knows how this guy ages, but
I
looks beautiful nonetheless.
Yeah, I enjoyed that moment where he was talking about the stuff he had been through a lot, because like I was like, I feel like Harrison Ford wasn't really on board with the age jokes necessarily, but it was kind of like when that moment happened, I was like, okay, they had to get it in at least once, and that was like a really good way to do it. Was him talking about all this crazy stuff he's been through. So
yeah,
he's like, I'm thinking, why am I up on this cliff? I've got bone, like plates in my leg and screws and this and that, and so funny. That was great.
It's probably true.
Yeah. Just off of talking about that other de-aging scene, I loved Basil Shaw's character. I enjoyed that character a lot. And maybe it's because I have a soft spot for Toby Jones, but I thought he was a good character for sure. So,
is this the second time that Toby Jones? No. So, all right, I'm thinking about Hydra. Toby Jones was in Hydra, right?
See, yeah,
and also so was the guy that was in the beginning of this movie, like the general guy. I think he was also who had captured Wanda and Quicksilver.
Yes, he was.
Same guy?
Yes.
So that two guys interacting once again that were part of Hydra. So that was, and the Hydra is basically Nazis, right?
What a crazy life they have led. Toby Jones is my Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom guy. So I love him.
Oh, that's right.
I love him in that movie too. So
I'm making Hydra connections. I forgot he was even in Fallen Kingdom. He had weird teeth. It was the teeth that threw me.
Well, he had
off,
he had a strange accent too. So.
I was a little disappointed and it was fine. Like it was easy to get rid of, but that Helena was not like Helena Brody. She was not like Marcus Brody's daughter. Because that's what I thought this entire time. That she was obviously like, if Indy's gonna have a granddaughter, it's gonna be from Marcus, but that wasn't the case. So, but it was fine. It worked itself out okay.
Yeah, I thought also seeing Sala back was pretty awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I didn't cry the first time when Sala was at the airport with Indy, but that second time when he's like, I got my passport, and he's like, I'm ready,
Yeah.
like, to do more adventures with you. Like, I was like, oh my God, this is like, I'm old and, you know, can't do this forever. And it just like connected with that moment. And it was interesting.
Yeah, I did feel a little bad that he couldn't go with him on one more adventure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted him to, but then I was also like, he's also like the same age as Indiana Jones or around there. So, how did y'all feel about Helena, her character? What were your reactions to her and everything?
Yeah, I thought she was great. I enjoy it when it's not always apparent what a character's motivations are. Like you kind of think it's going one direction, but then it like kind of pivots and goes somewhere else. So not having that ambiguity, I thought was pretty well handled. But I never really like felt like even at the beginning that she was gonna be like bad per se. Like the outcome was kind of how I would have expected it to have been with her. But I thought she was pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't expect her to be anything else. I love that moment when she shows up in his class and no one cares about whatever he's teaching. And he's just like, all right, well, I hope you'll read the assignment or whatever, because we're going to take a test. And then she starts answering questions and like, actually he's like getting enthusiastic. He's like, yes, like he's loving teaching again. And the fact that like she's very obviously like hiding who she is and not telling the truth a lot of the time. And she says a few lies in the beginning about the dial being in the river, and she knew that wasn't the case. And then what else? She she goes to like sell the thing because she obviously, I guess, needs some money for I don't know, a handful of things. There was like
she owes her ex-fiance or something. Yeah.
Which that was funny too, when he's like, that guy is like comically chasing her down and like his henchmen are shooting at her and he's like, no, don't shoot her. Cause like, I love this person. Don't do that.
Yeah.
That was pretty funny. But I love that. Like, she says it's very much like the trajectory of Indiana Jones, how like, it was the Fortune and Glory, right? Like that's what they went back and made a prequel with Temple of Doom, and he had to learn that it was not all about the Fortune and Glory. And she's essentially doing that in this movie, right? She's figuring that all out. And maybe she knew that from the start, because like there is a moment where like Indy's like, you're taking care of this kid. You're not as like heartless or, cold as I maybe thought you were, or you want people to think you are. So that was pretty cool, like, and she eventually punches Indy out, and it's about the people, it's about saving people and bringing them back to where they belong. And I thought that was a nice little arc for her. And I just love that character. I would gladly watch more movies with her if they wanted to continue on, bookend some stuff. I know they probably won't ever do it, but like bookend some Harrison Ford, like the Young Indiana Jones TV show. Give her something to do, have him send her out on a quest or something, meet up with Short Round. Like, dude, that would be amazing. I'd watch that movie in an instant, right?
Absolutely. I loved her character, and like the way, like the camera movements at the end for a second, I was like, oh, we're following this group and not Indy and Marion. And I was like, oh,
yeah.
what are we doing here for a second? And and Helena's theme was all over the score in little snippets. And it's there, like right at the end, and then you get the classic, you get the classic Indy ending as well. But like, no, I loved her character. I thought her motivations were going to be purely historical, like she was going to be very student-ish. But like, I loved how they, made her someone who was deriding capitalism, but still participating in it because she kind of had to at times. And no, I loved her character, and it's like I heard her theme 1,000 times before I even saw the movie, and so I kind of came into it with that sort of thing. And They also made her that, like, they made her very early 70s activist type person, which I like too. So
yeah. I really felt when Indy was conducting his class and he telling his students, like, this is going to be on the test. Like, I totally felt that, because that's was my experiences last year, like almost every day. Like, guys,
no.
like, wake up.
Next time you got to go in with some thoughts on Sicily and teaching all the kids about that.
I enjoyed the old school projector. He's laying everything on, like laying the sheets on that.
Yeah,
all that was great.
Yeah.
Oh man.
One thing that I was kind of not too sure about is why the one half of the dial is in that one, like, facility. It wasn't even like a hyper secure facility. It was just like in an archive, right? It didn't really explain why it was there. I mean, obviously I feel like he was kind of watching over it somewhat, but it wasn't like locked up, or it was just kind of there.
Hiding it in plain sight, I guess, sort of.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I mean, I guess, like, to most people, these are just pieces of junk from the past. Like, they're not. Indiana Jones is the only person who knows that these are supernatural, like, thing. He didn't even know. He doesn't believe it fully, even though he's encountered a bunch of things he can't explain. He still is on the fence, even after everything he's ever seen. So yeah, nobody would buy that this thing is just some time travel device. They're just going to look at it and think it's just some artifact. So I love that. I thought it was like a nice thing, and it was interesting that he moved out to New York and he's got this new school and he's been there long enough that he's going to retire, and they're handing him a clock, which I thought was hilarious that they're giving him a clock, and yet that is the MacGuffin of this movie. But like, yeah, it was cool. I liked that part, and that was our first moment of Indy, like, trying to be Indy again and climbing up on the stacks and pushing them over. Like, that was cool.
I guess our university archives are all good until some Nazis posing as FBI agents show up. Like,
yeah,
somebody who knows what they're looking for. But like, what you said is spot on. Like, I loved the classic Indie shot of, like, tall archives of old stuff, and you're going through and they're taller than even the shot is, and it's great.
Yeah. What I thought was cool about that scene was, like, well, not cool, but like his coworkers got shot, right? And Indy, he's I mentioned this before, but he's not who he used to be. Like, there's a moment, like, around there where he tries to punch somebody and it, like, just gets blocked and he can't even attack somebody, and then he escapes and finds, like, his coworker's shot, and he's scrambling. He doesn't know what to do. He finds blood and he's got it in his hands. He's calling the police. Like, that is not the Indiana Jones from the 30s and 40s or whatever. So it's interesting to see Indy taking that route, and then I don't know, it's just a completely different world that he's in. And I like it. I like it. I think it's cool.
Yeah, I noticed that as well. Like, that and what I noticed about it was that it's like, I mean, it's maybe like a minute of scene there where he goes and finds them shot and takes the time to, like, realize that his coworkers are dead, and it really hits him emotionally. And like, that's a moment that they left in the movie that maybe would have been cut out of other, like, blockbusters, like an emotional moment of him finding his coworkers like that. And I was like, oh, they left that in. I appreciate that. And maybe, like, maybe you can tie that back to the stuff that he's experienced with Mutt and with Marion, like, causing him to appreciate situations like that more. But yeah.
Nice little moment.
Yeah. There are no snakes in this one.
I loved the eel conversation, though. I loved that.
They look like snakes. No, they don't.
No, they don't.
Oh, it's so funny. And that was actually a really great scene, because, like, we've never gotten an underwater scene in an Indiana Jones movie. So I thought that was really interesting and different, and kind of terrifying to be trapped underwater with essentially snakes like that. And then like every now and then you can see them just like cutting blood, and like you see like blood like pour out of whatever. And it's like interesting. Like it's scary. It's scary. And I would not like to be in that situation. I hate the water. So
especially after the submersible situation, we all just collectively wondered.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what else?
Going through the entire movie in my head.
Yeah, same here.
The tuk-tuk chase was pretty great.
Yeah.
That was awesome. That was pretty great. I love that.
That's what I like. That is like sort of on the checklist, so to speak, of like what I was talking about like classic, feeling like classic indie. Like you have the chase through the narrow streets of a far off place. And I mean, that the tuk-tuk chase was definitely like classic indie for sure.
Yeah, filmed pretty cool. I mean, it's very chaotic. Like a lot of the action scenes are very like shaky, and there's just so much happening. But like you get it, it's kinetic and it feels good to me, at least. You know, there's a moment where like Indy's driving, and I don't know what he does, but he smashes into something, but he leaps to the other one and is in the back of the other one. It's just like such an amazing like little scene. You know, it's it reminds me of Crystal Skull a little bit, that whole sequence, just when they're at the college, and that is like top tier scene when they're driving through the college in Crystal Skull. Like, oh, it's so good.
I loved that and there's no way they wouldn't have, but I loved that they retained the map tracing when they were traveling, and the score there is exactly what it has been in past indie films. But
it was slightly different. It was very like sweeping and
oh yeah,
I don't know, like so much of the score felt different to me. And like you mentioned the ending before, like to me it's funny, like Lucasfilm ended two of their most recent projects with that's all folks, you know, like the circle that closes.
Yeah.
Which I thought was great, but like there was like a little different infusion of a track there. It wasn't just the indie theme like doing its thing fully, you know. It was a little different, and I thought that was beautiful.
The tight circle thing at the end, they do that at the end of Raiders, don't they?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, that just
do they do that at
on.
the end of any of the other indie films, or am I crazy?
No, they don't. I don't believe so. But they do it at the end of Mandalorian season 3.
Yeah, they do. Well, I mean, it felt very classic for sure. That whole thing.
Yeah, and it begs the question, like, you know, I know he's not, but is he back? Like Indiana Jones, you know, we know this is it. Like this is obviously it. The way that they are rolling out Harrison Ford, absolutely everywhere. Like he is just everywhere. He's on Conan O'Brien's podcast being hilarious. He's you know, doing videos on Twitter and talking like directly to fans on Twitter. It's like doing things that you'd never expect Harrison Ford to do. But it's very obvious that this is like the send off. But like him grabbing that hat at the end, like to me feels like Indiana Jones, the character, is not done. You know, like we may not ever see his adventures, but he is alive and well and will be still doing his thing. And I don't think we need to read it as like, oh, we're going to see Indy 6, you know, like it's not, I don't think it's not a reading like that. It's just like his adventures will continue, you know, but we won't see him.
Indy 6 in 15 years and Harrison is 97. No, to me, the hat grab thing really felt like the impression it gave me was like Indy and Harrison sort of like retaining control or like retaining their grasp on the character of Indiana Jones. Like I am Indiana Jones. That's kind of what it felt like. But
yeah, it's kind of similar moment to the end of Crystal Skull too, where he like picks it up.
Yeah. Steals it from Mutt. You know, Mutt's like, I'm gonna take over the mantle. No, you're not. It's mine.
To what you were saying though, Brad, like I would absolutely watch more with Helena. And Indy's the computer guy now. He's just sitting in the dark
He's
room.
the man in the chair. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Sending her out on missions.
You can just hear him. You can just hear him type, and I hate computers. And, but yeah, no, I could definitely see it, because like that's what the Young Indiana Jones show was. It was just like I think it was George Hall, and I was waiting for Indy to get his eye. Something happened with his eye, because if you watched the old version of the Indiana Jones Chronicles or whatever, the Young Indiana Jones, there was a guy named George Hall, and he played Indiana Jones like in his 90s or so, in the 90s.
Oh yeah,
like 1990 or whatever. And he had an eye patch, and like there was a moment towards the end of this movie I was like, oh, they're gonna give him his eye patch, but they didn't do that.
Give him his
it makes
moment.
It made me wonder, like, if maybe this is the last send off of Indiana Jones, but we could maybe, like, if they wanted to continue this franchise, they could do those bookends with him in the beginning and the end. No action. He just, is kind of there talking about something or giving some input on an adventure or something like that, being the man in a chair or whatever.
Yeah. I think, we've hit the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, the 60s. Like, there's probably some really cool things historically we could hit on in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s probably. So
I hope they continue the franchise in some way. I mean, yeah. I've just wanted animation for a long time. I think that would be a great way to do it. You could just get somebody who sounds like Harrison, and or just AI or whatever. I guess
you Brad, you.
I'll do
sounds
it.
like Harrison. Yes,
I'll do. I could definitely reel in a decent Harrison if I wanted to. Yeah. So Lucasfilm, make that, and then I'll be here. And then if you also want to do a Mr. DNA TV show,
go buy the Indiana Jones toys so they'll make more stuff.
Yes, buy the merchandise. I thought it was cool too, seeing the Lucasfilm logo like on the big screen finally after all this time again.
Yeah, that was nice, and the Paramount logo was still there.
Yeah,
but it didn't like do a fade or anything, because Disney came up, I think, after Paramount. But it didn't like fade into like a mountain or anything like that, like it has in the past, or a molehill or whatever, that a gopher hill or whatever it was.
Yeah. Someone was saying like, oh, they didn't do the Paramount logo fade thing, and I was like, yeah, because Disney. Yeah.
Yeah, it's surprised it wasn't like a castle fade into. I mean, I guess it kind of was.
Yeah, the opening
probably was
the castle. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, dang.
Cool. And any final thoughts before we rank these films?
No, I loved it, and I hope people go see it. I hope it like makes returns. So
yeah. I know the box office has been a little low, but like I think overall the industry is in a very weird place right now. And I think like there has to be a lot of readjustment from all sides of everything. I mean, the studios need to spend less money on these kinds of projects, and they need to market them. I mean, this one was kind of marketed pretty great in comparison to a lot of other Disney stuff recently and Pixar. But like, there has to be a big shift somewhere, and hopefully, they can find that this series still is making enough money overall over the course of 6 films, and they've got a lot of stuff in their theme park still. I hope we get to see that expand in some way, and I hope the merchandise continues. I just want to see more Indiana Jones. I don't want it to stop right here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep, definitely. I feel like I had one more thought, but I can't remember now what it was. Maybe it'll come to me, maybe not. All right. Okay, so let's go and rank them. Who would like to go first?
Brad, you go.
All right, I'll go. All right, so this is pretty easy for me. Where should I start? 1 or 6 or 5? Wait, how many are there?
Start with
5.
5.
5.
Start with 5.
5. I was gonna say number 6 is gonna be the Mystery of the Blues, which is an episode of Young Indiana Jones that Harrison Ford was in. Let's say that.
Oh.
All right, so number 5 is Temple of Doom. So sorry, everybody. Gonna go number 5, Temple of Doom. Number 4 is gonna be Crystal Skull. I love that movie. I love all of these movies. So let's say number 5 is still great to me. 4, Crystal Skull. 3 is gonna be Dial of Destiny, this movie. And then 2 is gonna be Raiders. And number 1 is Last Crusade. Last Crusade is my favorite one. I absolutely love that movie so much. One of my top movies, literally of all time. Like, could be number 1, 2, 3, like in that range. It's a top 3 movie for me.
That's valid.
Right on. Before Caleb goes, I remembered my thoughts. I was just going to say to the low box office thing. Like, it seems like that's been like every movie for the last couple of months. Like, oh, it's lower than projected. You know, this drop after this week. So it seems like that is like an ongoing thing for whatever reason with movies lately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
The projections are off, and then like, you know, they're marketing them bad. Elemental came out with a horrible box office. That movie's pretty great. Like, go see Elemental. That was fun.
Yeah.
I know Flash did pretty poor, but like I have not gotten a chance to see it, even though I've really wanted to. It just came out at a bad week. There's too much. I think there's too much too. Too many movies.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know when Crystal Skull or when the other indie films came out necessarily, but like, and I'm pretty sure at least 1 or 2 of the other indie films came out in May, unless I'm crazy. But like, I feel like this indie film came out really late. I feel like it could have come out earlier in June or something, and maybe people would have been more aware. But I don't know.
I kind of like the timing coming out around July 4th, and then having that very American sequence, you know, with the moon landing and everything. It feels feels right for me. But like,
no, it makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, Caleb, you are up.
Brad, you don't have to apologize about Temple of Doom, because that's also my least favorite Indiana Jones film.
Okay.
And it's like you said, I really enjoy all of these movies. I think they're great, but like Temple of Doom is just my least favorite. It's just super weird. Temple of Doom to me is just very, very weird movie. But so Temple of Doom, Crystal Skull. Why am I blanking? Dial of Destiny, Last Crusade, and Raiders is my favorite.
Okay.
And let me tell you why Raiders is my favorite is because I got to see Raiders of the Lost Ark in a traditional standard movie theater once, and it was a religious experience. Like, that's a movie that's meant to be seen in a movie theater. It was great. So, yeah.
You don't need to like explain that. I
know.
Raiders is one of the best movies ever made. Like, it makes sense. It checks
Raiders
out.
is an all-time classic of film in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess all our ratings are going to be slightly different. So for me, number 5, Crystal Skull, I would, and to echo your sentiments, I enjoy them all. I just enjoy that one the least, I guess. Number 4 would be Temple of Doom. Number 3, I would say Dial of Destiny. Number 2, Raiders. And then number 1, Last Crusade.
So this movie is a pretty solid 3 out of 5, right? It's that was yours too, Kayla, right?
Yeah, 3, I would say it's definitely like solid top 3 indie for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's all you could really hope for, because there's almost no chance that it's going to beat like some of the old ones. So that's pretty great.
Yeah.
But I'm glad we have the same favorite, Brad. That's cool. I didn't expect that.
Oh yeah, I don't know what it is, but I just watched them all, the other day again, and I love them all. But like, something about Last Crusade that just like is really nonstop, even more than some of the others. I just feel like I'm on the edge of my seat. I'm laughing. I think it's more comedy, and like I just love that father-son dynamic. I love that Sean Connery is just like looking at Indy like, what is happening right now? Like, and I feel like Indy even kind of gives off some of that in this movie. He gave off a lot of that with Mutt, which that's why one of the reasons why I love that movie so much is because he's doing the same thing that Sean Connery did in the movie before that. And yeah, it's cool. I don't know. I love Crystal's whatever it is, Last Crusade so much.
Last Crusade is fantastic. You just made me think of something, which is that I enjoyed in Dial when the kid steals his watch and he's like, that belonged to my dad.
I know.
Yes, it did.
That was great.
Yeah, that was neat. Well, cool, you guys. This has been a fun chat. Thanks so much for coming on, Caleb and Brad. Let's do it again before too long. I don't know what our topic will be, but we'll definitely find something. There's plenty of movies to talk about.
For sure.
Yeah.
And
definitely.
and thanks to everybody who's been hanging out with us this evening, watching, leaving your questions and comments in the chat. We really appreciate it. Caleb, where can our audience go to look you up online?
At Caleb Composed on everything, including YouTube, where I have a Jurassic toy unboxing channel. So go subscribe. Jurassic Caleb.
Nice. Very cool. And Brad, where can our audience go to look you up?
You can find me on the Jurassic Park podcast, bi-weekly, I guess, whenever I feel like uploading these days. I think that's pretty much what it comes down to. But just go to JurassicParkPodcast.com. You find everything there. I'm at Brad Jost on whatever, most social medias. Not Thread. I'm on Threads, but it's Brad M. Jost. Because I guess I decided to put my middle initial in there years ago when I made my Instagram for some dumb reason. But yeah, I'm on Threads apparently. So
yeah,
we're doing it. It's happening.
Yep. Nice. VC is on Threads too now. If want to follow, I haven't really done a whole lot with it, but we're there.
Yeah, my thread count is low, but yeah.
Oh, I like that. That's nice. I've struggled with like, what do we call? Like, what do I say when because when you say I tweeted, like it's very easy.
Are we sewing?
I did a tweet.
Is that what are we?
Yeah, I don't. Are we? I threaded this. I don't know. Like it doesn't work as easily.
Threader. Nice. Well, thanks you guys very much, and thanks to everybody. And have a great evening, great weekend, and we will see you next time.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.